Here are the components for my next little building project, which is Toby the steam tram, a model from Brooks Kits. The main component is the body shell. I have the roof, a selection of couplings and an accessory pack which contains crew, nameplates, windows and some other small pieces. I run DCC, so I need to fit a decoder to the Kato 109 chassis. I previously spray painted the body shell but left the base protected by masking tape so that I could paint it a matte black later on. There will be quite a few details that I can't show you on this project, as I have to use a magnifying lamp for some of the fine work, such as soldering the fine wires involved. The next step was to give some relief to the body shell colour, which was done by overpainting it with a smoke black wash. This was applied liberally so that it would flood into the crevices on the body shell. One side was painted at a time to give the wash time to settle in the crevices. Sorry for the hand in the way of the shot, I didn't realise until after I'd filmed it. This is the Kato chassis once the top has been prized off. As you can see, it's similar to a Bachmann split chassis, with each side having one half of the motor feed. In order to convert it to DCC, we have to lift off the motor feeds, or lift them out, and then replace them with new leads. So here's one side pulled out of its mounting. So we have to disconnect the red wire, which will then go straight to the decoder as a motor feed, and then replace it with a new linking wire, which will also go to the decoder as a track feed. Here is the chassis with the wires attached. I couldn't show this process being done as I had to use a magnifying lamp in order to see what I was doing. But we've now ended up with two feeds direct from the motor and two feeds, one from either side of the chassis. These will go to the decoder, which has been prepared with only 4 short wires that are needed protruding from it. I also cut out one section of the chassis top to allow the wires to feed through. So first of all, we'll put the chassis cover back on. Then we connect up the 2 pairs of wires so it's back to being a DC chassis, and give it a quick test before going any further to make sure that all is working. And now, with the decoder wired in, it's down to the layout, and we'll test that. So we've now got a properly working DCC chassis. So now we've got a working DCC chassis. We return to the workbench in order to complete the Loco. The first little job is to give the crew a coat of the smoke wash. This will run into the crevices on their uniform and give them a little bit more definition. Then we use some bronze paint to highlight the handrails on the Loco, the rooftop pipe, and make rims for the front and rear lights. Then we fitted the windows. These have come from a glazing kit which is supplied, and they have to be cut to the exact size so that they can be slid into the window mountings. So now we have the remaining pieces: the body shell, a selection of nameplates which are pre-painted, the roof, the couplings selected which are painted black, the crew, and an extra piece which I'm going to use to make a bulkhead either side of the engine bay and hide all the wiring. So now we fit the DCC chassis into the Loco body. This is quite a simple operation, as once aligned properly it's just a click fit. So here you can see I've already put one bulkhead in, which has enabled me to push the wiring down inside the Loco body. So I'll just put the other bulkhead in now, and then I've got two crew compartments, one at each end, to place the crew in. Next we cut out the appropriate nameplate, which of course is Toby. The others may come in useful later on for another project. And this is simply glued in place with a small blob of super glue. And again the chimney is fixed in place permanently with another little drop of super glue. So with the tram now complete, we're ready to give it a final test run on the layout. Just ignore the people lying down on the station, their passengers waiting to be glued in place. It seems to perform very well. This is quite a low speed, as you can see. We'll give it a faster run as it gets out into the open, and here we go through the village and onwards out into the country. So quite pleased with that. Everything seems to work, and it hasn't cost a lot of money.